The fires of mass cremations had burned throughout the night. As the palls of smoke hung heavily over the stricken city, pile upon pile of ashes showed the enormity of this tragedy. Over 1,000 bodies had already been burned or buried, and still more came. Pitifully, a son grieved over his dead mother. And yet another funeral pyre was helped on its way with kerosene. Another inconsolable relative led away. The problem of moving both human corpses and bloated carcasses of cattle had been made even harder because so many of the laborers had also perished in Monday's murderous mist. The health hazard caused by decomposure grew critical as the stench of death filled the city's sun-baked streets. For a third morning, these children had awoken to find no mother, no father, no family. Now they were just numbers in a nightmare. Their lives rested on the relief workers and their handouts. Though finding sufficient food and water not contaminated by the gas had added to the problems. The worst affected orphans were still being carted to hospital. 3 days after the incident, the agony of Bhopal was no less vivid. Countless tragic cases, thousands still blinded, weeping in anguish and uncertainty. Somehow the medical teams had managed to treat 50,000 victims. But only the strong were likely to recover from a poison which had sought out the frail and the feeble.
भाई साहब यहाँ पर है, केवल वही लोग रहे, बाकी सब हट जाए यहाँ से। इन भाई के साथ आप हो भैया? इधर आ जाइए अम्मा, चलिए आप जो इनके साथ जाने का। आराम से। राम नाम सत्य है। राम नाम सत्य है। पीछे पीछे और लकड़ी। देखिए, ऊपर देखिए, नीचे देखिए। भाई साहब जाइए, भाई साहब यहाँ से भोपाल टाकी कार्बिडेस ये अंदर कंट्रोल रूम डॉक्टर के लिए हम थोड़ी हाँ इसको बुलाना है। डॉक्टर सुनील जो है वो देवी राजी के घर पर पहुंच जाए। गाड़ी दिख लीजिए डॉक्टर शाम चलिए ऊपर चलिए आदमी लोग ये असली सभी लोग घर के भी मौजूद हैं उनके, इसलिए उनके सारे मन कर ले लीजिए। आग लगा दे चलो उनको तो घूमने लगा दो।
We have many of the same questions you all have, yeah.
government is helping, but it is not enough. I am telling you. The relief this has been provided is very meager. And the people, as you are seeing, they are shouting for help and relief, but they are not being provided enough medicines, food and all the things. They have lost their shelter also.
Our current information is not different. Our team is in Bhopal. We hope to begin to get some information. I did learn from the press again that the team from the Indian government that has initiated the investigation and has been on the site for some hours now, days, has stated that they would not have anything of significance probably for 2 to 3 weeks.
क्या वजह
ये जो पेड़ है ये ओरिजिनली पेड़ है ये सब पत्ते सूख गए ये बेल खत्म हो गई है ये जो फसल है ये सब जल चुकी है ये सलाद वेजिटेबल सलाद कहलाती है ये सब जल गई है उसको खा नहीं सकते पॉइजन है इसमें
हम थोड़ा सांस लेने में सुविधा हुई और इसलिए थोड़ा हमारी आंखें अच्छी हुई
It's almost a week now since this chemical winter descended on Bhopal, yet the authorities have done little to ease the chill of uncertainty that hangs over the Union Carbide plant. It's known that tons of the lethal gas were left in the storage tanks after the leakage, but the Indian investigators are still refusing to release details of exactly what happened or what dangers remain. Still, nobody has been evacuated from the poison zone, even though official assurances about the safety of the plant are far from convincing. With little let-up in the daily procession of the sick, many local people fear the gas has not completely disappeared. Crowds now gather around new posters of the unidentified dead, numbers coldly tag the tormented faces that stare out blankly at the families searching for their missing relatives. Nearby, those who already know the awful truth file for temporary relief. Meanwhile, shock is gradually turning into anger here. The city's intellectuals marched through the streets today to voice the grievances of the less fortunate. Their protest aimed not just at Union Carbide, but at the whole American nation.
The first objective is to assess the nature and extent of the eye damage in the affected population. And from the reports we've had so far, there seem to be 3 or 4 groups that we need to identify. Those with immediate sight-threatening disease who require urgent intervention, those who seem to be having a reversible problem, and those who have a potential threat to vision in some time in the future.
Now, the general eye health of the population, how good is it, and what does that mean as a result of the tragedy that's happened?
I've no details of the of the eye health in that region, but it's possible that they have been exposed to a number of infections which might make them more susceptible to injury from this present problem.
Good morning.
Jeremy
Alan
Thompson.
Johns.
Yes,
Nice
hello.
to meet you.
Jeremy Thompson.
My
nice
colleague.
to meet you. How are you?
अरे वो इस जगह बोलिए ये वॉलंटियर्स बाहर प्लीज बाहर नहीं बाहर